Yo, what is up, buddies? I saw y'all really vibed with my last video walking through my first ever case study, so here's another video about all the frequently asked questions I get asked about design career. Your career journey is very similar to design, it's iterative. No one's career journeys is all the same. If you're struggling in college or career transitioner and feeling lost, then this is the video for you. For our adventure for the next several minutes or so, I'll be going over design thinking and how that applies to your life as well, making little analogies and different phases of it, such as discovery, how you want to get started, defining how you want to stand out, some strategy and some actionable career tips, and some testing, which I like to call them vibe checks, and iterating. And I also talked more about learning, moving forward in your career, and getting promoted, because who does not want that? And throughout this video, I will also be floating across the screen because it is cool. I chose this wonderful purple background in my blue shirt because it matches my slides. So a little bit about me and why I decided to be talking about this is currently full-time. I am a product / user experience designer at Electronic Arts, focusing on building products and designing products for creators and events. Also, all views are my own and do not represent the stance or anything has to do with EA. I also founded Design Buddies, which is the largest design community in the world, which you should definitely join on Discord, link right there and also in bio and in the description below. My background is in computer science and engineering and bioengineering as my undergrad degree at Santa Clara University. I studied engineering as in college and master's, but decided to pivot over to design. I'm also from California, born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. Outside design, I like to draw, create 3D art, run a lot, and create a lot of content on social media, like what I'm trying to do on YouTube right now. Look at me floating across the screen. I love this feature. It's so fun. I'm becoming the background. So just as a refresher, design thinking is an iterative process of solving problems. And sometimes you can apply this to your career as well. You start with discovery and you define it and you strategize it, test it, and keep iterating along the way. And I'll go through more specific examples and how that applies to your career. So now we're on to discovery. And so these are some questions you want to ask yourself based on what you want to do. I feel like it's important to ask yourself these questions because essentially the average person probably spends about 40 hours a week on their career. So I think it's also important to find what you enjoy doing, even though like the goal of it is to earn money as well, make a living, but you don't want to spend big percentage of your life doing something that you don't really vibe with, because I don't think that's fun for anyone. So ask yourself these questions. I'm not going to read out the slides so I can pause this video, but what brings you energy? Like what do you look forward to? What makes you excited? Like what do you like not want to quit? And be honest with yourself, okay? Because when I was younger, I always thought, oh, I had to be like doctor, engineer, lawyer because it makes hella money. But I tried it, which I think anyone should. I encourage anyone and myself to just try new things and really try it and do like an internship, get experience in it, learn about it before deciding whether you like it or not, because it's easier said than done. And like, what are you good at? What can you improve at? Well, like, what do you not enjoy doing? I feel like finding out what you don't enjoy is just as important as finding out what you do enjoy, because you learn a lot about yourself along the way, and also what kind of impact do you want to have on the world. But I think number one is prioritizing what you like to do, because if you like to do it, you'll do it better instead of sticking with a job you hate. Maybe what do you want to be known for? What are your life goals? As I said, like your life isn't like your career isn't the only part of your life, but your career can also relate to your life goals as well, like making money for doing what you like and making an impact on the world. That's what I think careers should be about, in my opinion. And also, what are your values? Like, do you like traveling? Do you want a job that takes you on a lot of business trips? Do you like having work-life balance? Do you like making the moolah or the monies and wealth? Do you like leadership? Do you like being able to express yourself? Do you like community? Do you like power? Do you like social impact? These are just some questions that are help you define your values and help you find whatever career path or whatever industry you want to work with as well. And also just some user research. Sometimes other people helps as well. So I feel like just like design, you don't live life in a vacuum. In design, it's important to talk to users and different stakeholders. And in this case, I think it's also helpful to ask people around you, such as your family, coworkers, friends, people who work in the same industry, what they think about you and your personality, because sometimes they might tell you things you might not realize, but sometimes they might not be true because you are yourself and they live different lives. But it's also, for me at least, it helps a lot to get feedback, because if I don't get feedback, I don't know what I don't know. But always ask a lot of questions and try to just uncover as much as you can as well. You don't have to follow through 100% what everyone tells you, but it's good to just ask some questions, get some feedback to get a baseline of how y'all are doing, especially getting feedback from people who might be more experienced than you are. And also, just to throw in some design practices, you can affinity map your responses, so grouping items that are similar together and finding common themes. And, haha, I just moved myself wrapping around the word. I thought that was funny. But yeah, now that you kind of figured out who you are, what your values are, like a overview of yourself, you kind of know what kind of job you want to do. Now it's time to do some more research and help define how you want to get there. And so ask yourself, like, what are the most important skills for your dream job? Is it like critical thinking, communication, problem solving, etc. Figma. I made these slides in Figma, so, things like that. And also, like, when you see yourself on a team, what roles do you want to fulfill? Do you want to be the leader? Do you want to be the doer? Do you want to be the one who keeps everyone calm and organized? And also, what settings do you work best in with this, post-Rona, short for COVID, Rona, haha, apostrophe Rona. A lot of companies have shifted to more remote work, and people have been digital nomading, but also some companies have been going back in person. And so there's opportunities to find a company that fits what kind of settings that work best for you, and also what kind of industry are you interested in. Are you interested in like finance, gaming, oil and gas, tourism, things like that as well. And also, like, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of rejection? Are you afraid of your customers or stakeholders not liking you? These are just good to be aware of, help you plan. And what are some ways to overcome these fears? For example, I used to fear rejection, but I use rejection now to find as data, as feedback. If, for example, I get rejected for a job or rejected for anything, I always ask, why? Just like curious, like, and ask in a way that like, oh, I really value your feedback because it helps me improve. Because I don't know everything, and so that's how I overcome my fear of rejection, is seeing that as data, like a scientist, and how I want to improve myself. Because if everything keeps working, then I won't ever learn and have a chance to reflect and stuff. So I don't know, I just kind of live life that way too, and I think it helped me, and I hope it helps other people as well. Now we're on to strategy. Haha, look at me hopping over this island. So now that you have a better idea of what kind of job, maybe you have like a job description pulled up, it's also really helpful to look at these to find some key skills. For example, the example that I have based on my experience is like a product/UX designer job responsibility and skills. So most of my days are coordinating with a lot of product managers, other designers, researchers, engineers, business partners, and more. So communication, learning, being able to see things in the systems and how the whole product ecosystem as a system and how everything fits together and makes the company money. I think that's important. And also, as a designer, I basically say my job is to solve problems and designing solutions to solve these problems. And when I solve these problems, I want to make sure I'm balancing like user needs, business goals, and technical constraints. So making sure that that engineers can build it, and it makes the company money and it makes the users happy, because without money, the company can't pay us to improve the lives of the users, so make them monies. Also, it's also helpful to have a product lens and contribute to product strategy and being able to work with researchers to translate insights into design solutions. And a lot of my day, a lot of my individual contributor work, also working in Figma and also Miro, and working with others to create workshops, user flows, wireframes, high fidelity mockups, prototypes, documentations, and more. And also documenting for product managers versus documenting for engineers. Now that you have identified some key skills, it's time to reflect these on your portfolio. And I would say, in my experience as a candidate and on the other side, it's the main thing that I should be focusing on top of my interviewing skills, as well as my interviewing skills when applying for jobs. And so I can make another whole video about this. But essentially, a TLDR of how to make your portfolio stand out is sometimes, especially for me when I was a student, I was like, portfolio, intimidation. But let me break that down. And so the minimal viable product, or MVP pages, you want to have on your portfolio is your landing page. And then you also want to have some case studies. This is definitely very, very heavily debatable, but I had about 3 case studies, or 2 main case studies on my portfolio when I was starting out, and an about page about you, which is like an extension of your LinkedIn. And MVP, and if you finish all of that and want to add more flavor to yourself and showcase that, you can add like a playground section, which are your other creative projects but non product design specific. For example, I have illustration. You can go more in depth in your about page, such as including the story about how you got into design, and other content you might create as well. And then in your case studies, which I would say a lot of recruiters and hiring managers, based on what I've heard from design buddies and myself, is they probably spend 10-20 seconds looking through your portfolio. So make sure you UX your portfolio as well, and make it easier for them to find your case studies. Your case studies is a great way for hiring managers to understand how you think and collaborate as a designer, or maybe not collaborate because they haven't worked with you yet, but how you think as a designer and how you problem solve, which is crucial, especially if you are a new designer starting out. And so case studies is important, is basically a story about how you solved a problem and how you designed a solution for your problem. It's a great opportunity to showcase all of that, and just to break that down into sections in the beginning, like why this project and your role, how you knew it was a problem, and in the middle, how you solved it, what explorations have you went through, what worked, what didn't work, how you tested it out. In the end, what impact did it have? Did it generate more revenue? Did it generate more users? Did it save the business more time? Constraints, lessons learned, what you took away from it, all that good stuff. I have some examples, and I have my last YouTube video that walks through my first ever case study, so feel free to take a look if you wish. And also, just like you don't design in a vacuum, I found it really helpful to ask for feedback on my portfolio, especially my case studies, especially when I was starting out, and even now. Even if you're a senior designer, master, principal, director, ask for feedback. And we also have a handy dandy portfolio feedback channel in Design Buddies, so feel free to join. Link in description below. When you apply for a job, you usually have to submit a resume as well. I feel like a good resume demonstrates your quantifiable impact. For example, you redesigned a landing page to improve conversion rate by 78% using numbers, using objective data, quantifiable impact, like how you improve the company in numbers, instead of just saying, oh, I got a company more users, but actually be specific in what you communicate. And also, sometimes the job description would be like having visual design, having prototyping skills. So include those skill sets in your resume in a skills section, and also ask for feedback. We also have another channel for this called Resume and Cover Letter Feedback in Design Buddies below. Improving on your cover letter. Now, I've seen endless debates on LinkedIn and Twitter about whether or not cover letters are still relevant in this day and age. Instead of, reading through all the endless threads, why not take that time to make a template of your cover letter and then Mad Libs it out, and then use that to fill in custom info about each job you're applying to and submit them at scale. So how I did this was I just referenced online cover letter templates and made it my own. I like to advocate for working smart and not hard. Because you already put in so much effort into applying for this job on your portfolio and resume. A cover letter, in my opinion, sounds like a fan fiction of you working for the company, even though it's not guaranteed that you're actually going to get hired. So this is why I'm like this. But in your cover letter, in your fan fiction, I wouldn't get canceled for that, but this is my YouTube channel. I'll crack myself up with my jokes. Include specific examples of your experience and how that relates to a job. For example, did you work on a game and you're applying as a UX designer, UX researcher for a games company? Talk about that, because that demonstrates your interest and why you want to work for the gaming company based on tangible facts and your experience. But if you don't have an experience working on games yet, but you're really interested in the games company, you can talk about maybe your passion, and specifically if you're an Apex Legends or esports champion, and just sprinkle a little bit of that in to demonstrate why you're interested in this as well. And also asking for feedback in your cover letter before submitting that in Design Buddies. So after you submitted your portfolio or resume, maybe cover letter, and you get called back from an interview, this is where the real fun starts. And this is where it will make or break your prospects of landing that job. As a designer with a couple of years experience, these are just a couple of different types of interviews that you might encounter / that I've conducted as well. So the first one is behavioral. This is common amongst a lot of other jobs beyond design, but essentially these are interviews where a recruiter or hiring manager might ask you, so tell me about a time when you dealt with conflict with a coworker. And this is where you have a great opportunity to focus on storytelling and process. Something that helped me along the way was to Google the STAR method and answering these questions that way. And STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So answering those questions in that flow helps. And also, Google is your friend. So you can Google company name, job title, interview questions, and find some on Glassdoor or posted on someone's Medium articles. And also looking at the company's site, their About Us page, and what core values they have, and try to relate them to you, but also be authentic. Don't be cheesy. Be like, oh my god, I totally want this job because I match this, and this. No, don't do that. But just be authentic. And so organically weave them into your stories, but don't list all of it, because I've seen that before and it's hella sus. And just be yourself, because you want to work with people that vibe with you, and vice versa. So don't do that. So just use these as a point of reference. The second type of interview you might encounter is a portfolio review, which is where you want to create a slide deck. So going more in depth into a few of your case studies, and you want to articulate how you solve the problem and have storytelling. I can later make a video going more in depth into my portfolio review presentations, but main thing is don't scroll through your case study, but actually make a presentation deck to present to your interviewers too when you're doing a portfolio review, and treat it like a conversation. So pause and ask to make sure, do you have any questions for me, and just make sure you got everything, all your ducks in a row, because as an interviewer, I had a list of criteria that I was looking for, and I really appreciated it when the candidate paused and asked me if I got everything I needed. So yeah, it's a conversation. The third type of interview is an app critique. This is where the interviewer or yourself might choose an app on your phone, as long as you want to share screens, and you want to walk through the app and their interaction design, their business model, what user problem they're solving, and highlighting the user goals business goals and user needs of what the app is solving based on what industry it's in. So just going through the app and following the interviewer, treating it like a conversation. And the fourth type, I feel like this is a bit controversial. I know some companies still do this, and I understand like the pros and cons, but design challenges. So these can be like whiteboarding challenges where you're asked to solve a problem and you whiteboard it out digitally or in person. Or it's like a take-home challenge where you have an X amount of time, like a week or like a day to solve a problem. But the thing is, I think practice is good. Practicing these whiteboarding interviews. Now we're on to testing. Networking. Networking is something that has helped me probably the most in my career and has helped me meet the coolest people and be able to help them out as well. Networking is also how a lot of people, including myself, landed jobs and got their foot in the door with zero experience. Networking, when I first heard that term in college, I was like, oh my god, is that like what adults do? And then they just like talk about the weather? No, it's in my experience, it's not that. Networking, it used to feel really intimidating to me because for me, if you listen to my videos, I talk like this in real life. Like, I'm not like, so, isn't this fine weather we have today? But I just want to say, like, networking, I see it as making friends because a lot of people in the professional world, they're humans just like me, just like you. We just like to vibe. So networking is making friends. Making friends, learning about each other, fighting about what you have in common, how you can help each other out. Friendship. But sometimes sprinkling in some, professional context to it, such as helping each other out in your career. When I was first starting out, I didn't have a lot of connections in design, so I cold reached out to people. And I have a Medium article about how I did this, and I can break this down further if y'all wish, comment down below. But I A/B test out different types of reach out messages to optimize my cold reaching out strategy. So you can do that as well, taking rejection as data. And also, if you don't like cold reaching out, because I know it is quite intimidating, like even I feel that same way today, and I'm not desperate, so I stopped cold reaching out to people, but I found like joining communities is a great way to organically meet people, just like hopping on, like in real life, like meeting people organically, like through events and stuff. One example of a community you can join is Design Buddies on Discord, link down below and also on the slides. And also attending relevant events and connecting with others. Saying like, yo, not like, and like maybe like meeting people and then sending them a LinkedIn connection request saying that like, oh, we met at this event. I really enjoyed chatting with you about this. I would love to stay connected with you. Things like that as well. And also, and this is what I personally like to do because like I still like don't really like directly reaching out to people. Sometimes I still do, but I just share on social media like what I'm doing right now, just some tips, and have people find me instead. This is what I mostly do these days. But if you don't want to like put yourself out there, or if you don't want to like directly reach out, just like post content about like design and maybe someone will like connect and stuff. But yeah, it really depends on your situation though, but that's just one way that worked for me. And then applying for jobs. This is where you can like test out different strategies, taking rejection as data and feedback to help you improve. The main idea I want to highlight is if you get rejected, you can use that as an opportunity to ask for feedback to help you improve. Oftentimes, unfortunately, legally, they're not allowed to share in some cases, but the fact that you ask tells them, being the hiring manager or recruiter, that you are self-aware, you strive to improve, and you will stand out to them, in my opinion. And they might remember you if you decide to apply for that job again. Because not everyone is born, perfectly 100% fit for that job, but everyone's on this process of improving themselves, so it's good to just ask for feedback in case you don't get it. It's also good to show that you've asked and you want to improve yourself because they might remember you. And also, we have some job boards in Design Buddies, all free. And also, ask the recruiter what skills they're prioritizing when you are ready to interview. Like, let's just say you've got, you're interested in a job and the recruiter reached out to you and you want to stand out. Just ask them, like, Where do you see the company in 10 years, 5 years? What skills is your team missing? And prioritize those if you have them skills. And also asking for feedback, doing mock interviews, getting feedback from mentors in your approach to job hunting, and more. Now that you have collected all this data, it's time to iterate. Yeah, as I highlighted before, just ask why. Like, say with everything in life, if someone says no, ask them like why, and like, how do I make it a yes? Sometimes it works. But not all the time when you're like a job context, but you know, just in life. Getting promoted, because who does not want to get promoted? It's always fun to keep leveling up and making more monies. But yeah, so once you land at your job, now you want to move up the corporate ladder. You can learn what skills and impact are needed to get promoted, such as looking at your job family matrix and your company's intranet, talking with people who've been promoted and learning about what worked for them, and more. So like research and also asking questions. If you want to get promoted, make it clear to your manager as well, because if they don't know, they can't help you, and their goal is to help you level up, because by leveling up, you help them level up as well. And this will also help them give you more opportunities to make more impact, to help you get promoted, and help them give you the feedback that you need to help get promoted. And also, when you're working and you have like the privilege to choose what you want to work on, seek the one that makes the company more money, aka the high impact and high visibility projects/products. And also try to get more opportunities to work with people high up the corporate ladder, such as people with like a director plus title or manager plus title. And sometimes, like for me, I've gotten the opportunities to, and I like to ask them about their career paths as well, and learn from them too. So it has helped me like for a professional level and a personal level. And also being able to see the bigger picture and how what you're doing relates into the whole system, whole industry, whole product system, whatever you have. And also having strong relationships, because life is not lived in a vacuum. Everyone that I've worked with has been nice, but I always like to prepare myself for all types of situations. So in life, I think for me, it's important to treat others with respect, even when they don't. It's okay. And just be easy to work with, but also be clear about your boundaries. And also like to end with some life lessons I've learned along the way, because your career isn't your whole life. And this kind of goes beyond career, is like, don't be afraid to take risks. Like applying for a job, trying on a new career. The worst case is you fail, but it's a learning opportunity. So it's either you win or you learn. And also don't listen to people who tell you can't do something, but like, who are they to tell you? And your life goal is not to please everyone. And also balance, essential for long-term success. Don't make your whole life's focus is to get a career, or just one thing that, in my opinion, is a sad life. So just do something that makes you feel happy every single day, like something like for fun, like drawing or running, or like whatever hobbies you have. And also, you know, if something seems sus, just speak up if something doesn't seem right, because you might be helping a lot of other people along the way, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And also learn to let go, you know. A lot of times things don't work out. People have different intentions, but in my opinion, life is too short to hold grudges. You don't have to care. Yeah, and with that, thank you for watching my YouTube video. Feel free to connect with me and comment down what other videos y'all would like to see from me.